Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne and I'm so glad that you have joined me, and I've just jumped on live. So this is titled Former Australian Head Gymnastics Coach Sanctioned for Bullying and Harassment. We know that last year the Human Rights Commission did a big investigation into the culture of gymnastics coaching in Australia, and it was very, very damning. So out of this has come some, from this, where there have been recommendations made that Gymnastics Australia have said that they will take on board. There has been some more gymnasts are starting to speak up about some of the experiences that they suffer from. And so now we have, hello Angela, now we have former Australian head gymnastics coach Peggy Liddick now being sanctioned. It would seem that she's got a 4-month suspension with 2 months, a 4-month ban, 2 months suspended, and a 2-month probation from the National Sports Integrity Commission. Gymnastics Australia have not ruled out taking further action. There is talks that they're going to remove her life membership from Gymnastics Australia. So gymnastics has always been known as a harsh sport. I worked in the industry and I've seen it. I've been subject to the bullying from either other coaches or even some of the parents bullying the coaches because their child's not doing very well. I've been in that. I actually left because I couldn't take it anymore. After 10 years, it was very relentless. So, you know, more former gymnasts are now speaking out. Now, there is some stuff that's come out that happened at the London 2000 Games. London 2012 Games that are quite damning and are quite horrific. So let's just have a look at this. So it says, oops, I'm on one screen at the moment and it's really messing me up because I've got no idea what I'm doing with the one. I can't do one screen. All those people that use one screen are absolutely amazing. So it says leading gymnastics coach Peggy Liddick sanctioned for harassment of Olympic athlete. So this is Peggy Liddick. Yeah. So she was the artistic gymnastics coach, head coach from 1997 until 2016. All right. A Gymnastics Australia Hall of Fame coach who said she would lock teenage athletes in their room and feed them peas and carrots under the door has been sanctioned but not stood down from the sport. The Sports Tribunal, National Sports Tribunal, found Peggy Liddick, Australian women's gymnast artistic team boss from 1997 to 2016, guilty of harassing two-time Olympian Georgia Barona. Liddick, described by former gymnasts as the most powerful person in the sport of gymnastics, was given a suspended 4-month ban and made to apologize. So I want to get your view on this apology letter too, because I'm not really a fan of it. It says, "Dear Georgia," she wrote to Baronia this week, "pursuant to Order 5 of the National Sports Tribunal determination, dated the 18th of January 2022, as directed by the tribunal, I apologize to you and acknowledge that I engaged in unacceptable coaching behaviours, in particular the use of negative language, which was belittling, offensive and humiliating and caused great upset to you. Kind regards, Peggy Liddick." In my opinion, this is as forced of an apology as you can get. She's saying that she's only apologising because she was told to, not that she wants to apologise, which I find really quite condescending myself. So it says, Liddick stopped leading national teams 5 years ago, after which she remained a technical member and a life member of Gymnastics Australia. She was personal coach to national elite and national team members from 2017 to 2020, an influential Victorian-based coach, and an internationally recognised judge. Interim restrictions have been placed on Liddick while she was under investigation. So it says the ABC tried to contact the American-born coach through her suburban Melbourne club Athletica, but did not respond. Now that's interesting. Athletica is in the western suburbs of Melbourne, believe it or not, it is not far from where I live, and I'm very interested to see that she was working there. So this is what was the case that came up against her. So Boronia represented Australia in 2 Olympic Games, 2008 and 2012, 4 World Championships, 1 Commonwealth Games. In retirement, she became a coach in Melbourne, where Lydic was also training athletes. I wonder whether she was at the same club or whether it was a different club. So this is Georgia Boronia. I've recently been exposed to her coaching, Boronia said. It all brought back to the forefront of my mind what exactly gymnastics was like with her as leader of the country. I thought it was just something in my power to do. This is something that I would do to help the sport. It's not right she's still coaching. It baffled me that people were still in sport. I really care about the sport. I'm a coach. It upsets me. In 2020, September, Boronia made an official report against Lydic to the Sports Integrity Commission, accusing her of misconduct, bullying and abuse between 2006 and 2012. She accused Lydic of verbal and emotional abuse, including but not limited to inappropriate language, shaming, poor coaching practices, ridicule, intimidation, humiliation, threatening behaviour and neglect. The complaints system Boronia went through arose from the Australian Human Rights Commission's review of gymnastics. The Australian Human Rights Commission found the sport of gymnastics a toxic culture, which doesn't surprise a lot of us that have been involved in the sport. Sport Integrity Australia heard Boronia's allegations, while former Australian gymnasts Shona Morgan, Olivia Vivian, Chloe Gillard and Ashley Brennan gave evidence to support their former teammates' claims. Lydic denied any wrongdoing and called character witnesses to support her long record of coaching. Again, this is Georgia. But the integrity body found the 5 allegations substantiated. So here are some of the things that happened, and these are shocking. In 2006, an Australian Institute of Sport training camp before the World Championships in Denmark, Lydic said to Boronia and the other athletes that she would lock them in their room and feed them peas and carrots under the door. In 2007, at a training session at the World Championships in Stuttgart, Lydic harassed Boronia by making an offensive and belittling remark about her in her presence. The remark was made in context of a teammate falling from the beam apparatus during a training session, at which the national coach said, if I wanted someone to fall off the beam, I'd put Georgia up there. In 2007, at the World Championship in Stuttgart, Lydic bullied and ridiculed Boronia about the result of the women's artistic team, gymnastic team. During the training session in 2012, London Olympics, Lydic yelled and screamed insults at Boronia for making a mistake. During the team debrief following the 2012 Olympic competition, Lydic said to Boronia and other WAG members, so WAG means Women's Artistic Gymnastics, that they were overweight and that was the reason for their performance. Boronia told the ABC it was difficult to make complaints against Lydic's style of management, which was accepted by Gymnastics Australia for 2 decades. I was pretty anxious at the beginning of the process because I didn't know how much help I would get, and everyone was scared and nervous, she said, but thankfully I had some teammates come in and help. It was a long ordeal. I followed it step by step and did it according to what the process was set out. To be honest, it was really easy to tell the truth. She said her recollections of international competitions were clear and strong. At the time, it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrible. I struggled to have words to explain what it was like, but it was just that way it was. I don't know any better. What could I think in my head was, this is what I have to do to push through to reach my goals in my sport. This is what it is. I didn't know there were other options because there weren't any other options. Not all coaches shared Lydic's coach. My personal coach really helped us a lot in trying to protect us, Boronia said. We had strategy to try and get through, but it was horrible. Gillard, a gold medalist in the 2006 Commonwealth Games, praised Boronia for going to the Sports Integrity Commission. Hats off to her. To be able to stand up for yourself in the key of gymnastics who were subject to behaviour and abuse, I would really, I commend her, and I think she's really incredibly brave and a strong woman for doing it. She was a gymnast, and I think the only people that were subject to the way he used to make us feel, would really understand how big of a thing it was to stand up to her and put a complaint against her. Gillard said the complaints process was confronting. It's very unnerving. Like anyone that's had to stand up for someone that they felt belittled by, you lose a lot of sleep over it. It sets off anxiety for me and affects you more than you think. Following the Sports Integrity Australia hearing, Gymnastics Australia proposed banning Lydic as a technical member for 6 months, with half of that time suspended, pending a completion of a 3-month reintegration period. Lydic was issued a breach notice, which she appealed to another statutory body, the National Sports Tribunal, in August 2021. Morania was surprised to hear she would have to give evidence again. I wasn't anticipating it or could go further than the Sports Integrity Australia, and the fact did process a little more challenging, but I was pretty determined to see it through because I really believed in what I was doing. The National Sports Tribunal, established in 2019, heard Lydic's application as a disciplinary dispute. The former coach tried to argue through her lawyers that the hearing was statute barred under the Victorian Limitation of Actions Act of 1958, which prohibits any action found on contract being brought against another person after the expiration of 6 years. The tribunal rejected this application because it was acting under Commonwealth law. The Essendon Football Club supplement case was used as a legal comparison. The tribunal heard from all witnesses. So if it was a Victoria case, so if this was something that came up against Gymnastics Victoria, and she was doing it under Gymnastics Victoria, under Victorian legislation, there would be a statute of limitations. However, because it was a federal case, there was more ground. So Baronia said that she was cross-examined by Lydic's counsel. It was pretty traumatic. It was very emotional experience, and I wanted to get through it, and it was effective as I could. But the cross-examination was, I haven't experienced anything like that before, and it was something out of a movie. During the tribunal, it was revealed Baronia was only 16 when she heard Lydic say to the AIS, "Make sure you eat well in the dining room, and I'll lock you in your room and feed you peas and carrots under the door." If the athletes ate more food than she thought they needed, Baronia was made to feel self-conscious about her weight and would often hear targeted comments about weight and physical appearance. The AIS nutritionist would perform skin fold testing at training camps. Baronia said she sometimes saw Lydic staring at team members in the dining hall as if she was watching the food intake very closely. At one AIS camp, on Lydic's instruction, he was restricted to eating dinner from the salad bar area. On some overseas trips where teammates did not eat meals in public area, rather they were served from Lydic's hotel under her supervision. Baronia recalled that once while overseas, the team was served noodle soup from Lydic's room, and team members who were achieving the coach weight target were given more noodles in their soup than the team members who weren't. The focus on weight made Baronia hypervigilant about who was watching her when she ate. A team member felt power structure between athletes and Lydic meant that she couldn't speak up about negative comments because Lydic and other coaches were in charge of team selection for the World Championships and Olympic Games. Lydic was reluctant to concede that she held a position of power. She refused to concede that there was a culture in gymnastics of striving to achieve a certain body shape or appearance. In May 2021, Gymnastics Victoria terminated Lydic's appointment as a judge in the Victorian team at the Australian Championships due to her being under investigation. The National Sports Tribunal found Baronia a credible witness. The tribunal panel said Lydic was a less than impressive witness. Nevertheless, the tribunal dismissed 3 of the 5 allegations. 2 allegations, the peas and carrots under the door threat and blaming the athletes for weight for the disappointing London 2012 results were upheld. So she was given a 4-month ban, which was suspended for a period of 2 years to be served under probation. I would have liked to have seen a more significant sentence. I think the outcome reflects the gravity of what the situation was. The former athlete said the governing body was very supportive. Gymnastics Australia have spoken to me quite a bit throughout the process, and they've checked on me, I guess, making sure I'm okay. And I think that's really important that Gymnastics Australia is now being very supportive, and they're reaching out to make sure that she's okay. Gymnastics Australia has a lot of work to do to change the culture. I have faith they will make good decisions with the situation because Gymnastics Australia, when I was a gymnast, It is different to the Gymnastics Australia now. There's completely different people in there, so I'm hoping that they will look at everything and make the right decisions. I feel hopeful for gymnastics and their gymnasts and their experience in the sport. I think it can only get better. It has to. Sometimes I worry my experience in the sport maybe shaped me in a certain way that wasn't good. I've tried to do as much as I can and give my best perspective on things. I've done a degree in psychology. I've spent time developing myself to make sure that I don't forget the position I'm in and how powerful the position of being a coach is for young kids. Gillian, who's become a high-performance coach, said it's not the sport's fault that these people had such immense influence on the culture and the way athletes are being brought up in the past. I think it's so incredibly important that we learn from those mistakes and we move forward to create a much better future for not only our elite athletes, but our national athletes and any young gymnast that comes through the door, she added. Gymnastics is such an incredible sport and shouldn't suffer because of the actions of a few. I can't control what Gymnastics Australia does. I don't know what they're thinking, to be honest. I guess only time will tell. Actions speak louder than words. You can say sorry a million times, but whether or not something is done about this situation is another thing. Sports Integrity Australia Chief Executive David Sharp said he accepted the National Sports Tribunal's finding and sanction against Liddick. It is critical that these stories are told and poor conduct called out in order to protect athletes in the future. I'm confident both parties were afforded procedural fairness through this matter. Gymnastics Australia said it recognised the independent and robust process that was undertaken by the National Sports Tribunal. Gymnastics Australia undertakes the bravery of the athletes who shared the experience of unacceptable behaviour, the sports body told ABC Sport. The NST determination regarding Liddick reiterates that any abuse towards athlete is unacceptable. With the NST determination now finalised, the Gymnastics Australia Board will consider any further action that may be required or appropriated or provided for further determination. Gymnastics Australia Chief Executive Kitty Chiller recently announced her imminent departure. Miss Chiller's next job will be Deputy Chief Executive of the National Sports Commission starting in March. So there we go. So I think it's really good that finally athletes that have been ill-treated, mistreated, are actually now speaking out. It's good that people are being made accountable. I mean, Australia doesn't seem to have a very, we've had our share of really bad coaches. There was, swimming. There's been an investigation into the culture of swimming. There was cycling issues with coaching. So I just hope that we can pull all of this behind us now and really look at building these sports and making people feel amazing and wonderful. Because, if you want, it's a bit like work, if you want people to respond, you need to empower them to respond and do good. So anyway, for those of you that are watching this on replay, I'm really interested to hear what you're thinking and what you think about all of this. And until next time, I'm going to love you all and leave you all. Bye for now.